Thank you for coming to hang out with us. This is Gain and Glow, a happy lifestyle podcast with me, Vanessa.
And me, Crystal.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
We made it to 2021. We made it through 2020, the year that felt like it was never going to end.
Seriously. Oh my God.
I'm so excited. Even though we know time is a man-made construct and dates are arbitrary.
Despite all that, we are here and we're happy to be here. And I'm just going to get us started with our dope quote.
Yes.
This one's from Dale Carnegie, American author. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who've kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all.
I don't think that there could be a better dope quote to get us in, like, to start us off. I think that's the truest thing, and so many people felt that throughout the whole year of 2020. It's like, you just have to keep going, even when it feels like there's no hope. And it's weird how, even though time is a man-made construct and dates are arbitrary, it's weird how, like, the new year brings so much, like, new breath and hope. Like, new hope.
Yeah, I think you kind of have Christmas where you got lots of lights and family and presents and, like, you got a lot of joy being brought up, I feel like, in that holiday. Like, that holiday spirit is there, and then it's New Year. And so it's kind of like, okay, how do I reflect on last year, or in this case, try to just move forward from it?
Yeah, maybe not even look back.
Maybe not even look back this time. But think about,
we will
like,
only look back to compare our progress.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I feel like I'm going into 2021 not judging myself for 2020.
Yeah.
Like, just going in with a more gentle view on goal setting and accomplishments. And I don't think I mean, we kind of talked about this, like, before this. We're not really into setting New Year's resolutions. And for me, I think it's because every time I have, it's been like one singular goal, and I don't know, maybe the last 10 years it was losing weight, and I just never did, or I'd do it for like a month and then I'm done, or like whatever, and I just put all this pressure on myself, and then I don't, like, go forward with it. And it's probably just because I wasn't used to setting goals for myself in general. So to kind of put it all on the first day of the year is kind of a big ask.
Yes, it really is. It's like saying, I'm going to do 500 push-ups when I've never done one or even worked on a plank. It's like just jumping right into something and making this, like, extreme decision. Like, I'm going to lose all this weight, or I'm going to get my bachelor's. And it's like, well, maybe in the long run, yes. But if you've never set little tiny goals, it's so hard to stick to such a big one. And yeah, like you said, we talked about a little bit before, I've never, like, I set resolutions just to have something fun to talk about while we're, like, champagne toasting and doing the countdown, and then we all go around like, okay, what's your resolution? What's your resolution? And I think it's fun. But 2020 taught, I think, us both a huge lesson in how to, like, get that down to be a little bit smaller. Like, set resolutions every week that are, like, easily attainable and build up to these larger, like you said, it's a big ask to put it all on one day.
Yeah, and I kind of put off, like, starting. It's fun. I feel like I kind of put off starting stuff this year, and almost unintentionally. And then, like, we missed putting an episode out last week, and it bumped both of us out. But Vanessa got sick, and she was down. Like,
yeah, I started off the new year, like, full on sick. full on sick, the whole shebang.
And of course,
and
it
it's
was
funny.
at the beginning of your vacation, like your first vacation. At the end of 2020, you would get sick.
I'm not even kidding. I was so upset because I worked really hard and like long hours to set up to take vacation, and I've never taken vacation the whole time I've worked for the company that I work for. And then, almost day one, I was like, oh, my throat's feeling a little, and then my nose is feeling a little, like, tickly. And then day two, I was like, oh, no, I'm sick. For the 1 week out of the entire 2020 year that I took all work off. No emails, no logging in, nothing. But that's how it goes, though. And that's one of those things, too. I broke my resolution, like, day 2. Because my resolution was going to be to close my move rings on my Apple Watch every day. And then I got so sick that I couldn't, like, work out. I couldn't meet the exercise one. And so I blew my resolution because it wasn't realistic. Like, things happen. Sometimes you don't close your move ring because you're so sick with, like, a sinus infection that you can't move. So
yeah, and it's really disappointing when you can't achieve a goal. Like, it's really disappointing. And so but it's so funny because a lot of the times it's so disappointing that you just stop trying. Like, you're like,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't do it, so why even try? And it's like, whoa, like, you're never going to achieve it if you don't just keep trying.
Exactly. So I gave myself a gentle pass for that first week.
Yes.
And I did still try to attempt to do yoga, but it was, of course, I do yoga with Adriene on YouTube, and she just started she does, like, these 30-day programs where it's, like, every day, like, the whole thing has a theme, and then every day has, like, its own little theme, and you never know if you're gonna be, like, sweating or if she's gonna legit have you cover yourself in a blanket and, like, hang out for, like, 5 minutes. And I'm not kidding you, it's, like, the most fun thing to be like, I don't know if today's gonna be super hard or if I'm straight up gonna take a nap, but I'm into it. And so she started a new one, and day 1, like Jan 1, was like an intro, like a 5-minute breathing kind of situation. So I did that. And I was like, well, I need to breathe, make sure nothing's up with the little lungs. Then day 2 is technically actually day 1 of real yoga. So I was like, well, this is probably going to be chill, because some of the other ones, like the first few days were like chill. 15 minutes of like pretty relaxing type yoga. No. 48 minutes of holding planks and downward dogs. And I'm like, I can't breathe through my nose. I felt stuffy. I made it through the whole 48 minutes, but it was not a good idea. So then I was like, well, I'm going to give myself a gentle pass. I'm just not going to close my move rings. We'll start again next week. Every week is a new opportunity for resolutions.
And you were the hardest person to make rest. And here you are, even sick, still trying to do yoga. Yeah, I'm like, oh, my head hurts. I'm not doing anything.
It's funny because at first I was like, oh, well, this is like the best way to have a relaxing time off. Because we weren't planning a trip or anything. It was like more of a staycation at home. So I'm like, oh, well, this is a good excuse to like rest, like have some rest, do the sleep thing that everyone talks about. And then day 2 of resting, I was over it. You run out of things to do. Like, I ran out of things to look at on Facebook. I ran out of Instagram posts. Like, these algorithms are ridiculous. I do not see enough, I've decided. I played bingo for 2 hours straight one day, and I was over it. I'm like, I can't. I just can't. I've been rewatching Gilmore Girls.
then your body's like, you get sick, you really aren't doing anything. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And my family put me on, like, straight up bed rest. Like, the hubs and the kid were like, no, you're sick. I was trying to fight it and be like, well, I'm just, like, a little stuffy. And then they were like, no, you're legit sick. Like, go to sleep. Okay. All right. I'll sleep for 12 hours if I have to. Now I've become too accustomed. Now we're on the other end of the spectrum. I'm screwed. I had to go back to work yesterday, and it was ridiculous. I feel like a feral cat. It was funny when we were talking about recording, and you asked me what time would be good. I legitimately had to stop and think, like, what's, like, a normal time? When we don't do our... Usually we wake up at, like, 7 a.m. and we do, like, the morning one. I'm like, what's, like, a normal time to do stuff in the evening? Because since Christmas, we haven't run on normal time in our house. Like, time is totally non-existent. We just kind of do our own schedules, and there was no school or work for anyone, so it's actually a weird thing to try to ease back into, like, regular society time.
Yeah. It's such a weird start to the year, too, because, yeah, like you said, like, the time between Christmas and New Year's is, like, what am I even doing? Like, I don't like, I'm in between celebrations, and also I just want this year to be over, but then also, what does that even mean? Because it's not like tomorrow's gonna be different than yesterday.
Right? It's not like at midnight on, you know, New Year's Day. It's not like it's like, poof, my car turns, you know, into a pumpkin or something. Like, it's everything's... My car's already the pumpkin. I wish it would turn into a carriage. But it's like everything's pretty much the same. But I think it's good though if people are waiting to start something, like waiting to do that thing. I think it's good that at least we have that one day to just kind of push everyone out of the nest and be like, you know what? Start that podcast.
Yeah.
Jump online.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that where it's like, just don't hold back. Like, just go for what you want because, I mean, it's now or never, right? Like, we can stress ourselves out living in the future, of the unknown, or, you know, everything that's happened in the past is just a distraction from the moment, which is now, and that's the only time that we really have. And so it's like, how do we make the most of it? And I've been thinking a lot about that, and we got matching planners this year. Thank you, Vanessa. And oh my gosh, it was so hard for me to put pen to paper in that thing because I'm like, oh no, this is like commitment. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, what do I want? What do I want for myself? I'm like, oh, like we want to record and do all this stuff. And then Vanessa got sick. And then I was like, well, not recording. And then it's like, what do I do now? And it's like, well, you can keep doing things. Like, you can, you know, use the stickers that came in the planner to, like, mark things that you want to do and help plan out your month and stuff. And I have, like, what I call a sticker phobia, which now I'm curious if there probably is a sticker phobia. I'm going to have to look up that word. But I have such
We're gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, and me and my roommates all have this. I don't know if it's just from the area we live in, our geographical location. No. But, like, once you put a sticker, it feels very permanent. And I only have one sheet of stickers, and I'm like, well, I can't just use all these stickers all willy-nilly. And it's like, and I think about that, and I think that way so much that I don't use the stickers. I still have my stickers from last year's planner. So...
No, you have spare stickers?
I do.
And you still can't. I love that.
And so this year, I'm going sticker crazy. I am going to put them everywhere.
Go ham.
Yeah. Our planners are kind of neat because they're the ones that you like put your own month in. They're not dated or the month's not on there, and that might drive some people crazy. But I kind of like that you could kind of just start whenever you pick it up, and just go from there. And it has like some questions about like what your goals are, and I was thinking about goals, and I kind of overwhelm myself with stuff like that too, because I'm like, once I write it down, it's official, and then I can't change it, which is silly because I can do whatever I want.
Because there's whiteout.
Yeah, first of all, there's whiteout. The second out, no one's looking at this but me.
Right?
And I was listening to Jordan Sayat's podcast, and he was talking about setting goals in the new year and how people tend to overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, but underestimate what they can accomplish in like 7 years. And I was like, I've never even thought about that, because I think about January 1st, I think about what's happening in the year. And then what do I do? And then I normally am like, I just go for one thing. And then if I don't do it, it's like, oh, I don't do it. Oh, well, whatever. I'm not any different than I was before. But then if you do that every single year, then you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it to your goal the full way in the first year, it's not like you should stop reaching for that goal. And a lot of the times, like, as you find, like for me, like, not last year, but the year before was, like, a fairly big one for me, like, losing weight. And, like, in the big, me pursuing losing weight was to help get out of being depressed. Like, I had dealt with being like overweight for a long time, and it didn't always bother me, but I became like depressed and I had a lot of anxiety, and I was like, I just can't live this way anymore. And so I was pursuing losing weight, and then as I lost weight, it was like my depression and anxiety didn't just go away. Like, I spent like 4 solid months of just grinding away and like, I don't even know if this is working. And then I started feeling good about going to work out, and working out, gives you your endorphins, like you increase like your schedule, like you kind of create like a new pattern in your life. And so through that, I decided like you started doing kickboxing and brought me to a kickboxing class. And then I was like, oh, I love that I can do this kickboxing. Kickboxing kicked my butt, even though I was in the gym like a few days a week, like lifting heavy weights and stuff. And I just like so happy that I found out like I loved lifting weights. It was like I didn't have to talk to anybody. I just focused on my form, and like focusing on my form and like lifting like made me feel strong, and I felt like I was accomplishing something, which was the only thing that I was doing outside of work. And so it just like propelled like new habits and new things that I loved. And I think that's like the biggest thing about setting a goal is like the journey of trying to accomplish that goal leads you to finding other things that you love or that like you get interested in, and then you share that with other people, or you inspire other people to do things like that too. Like, you inspired me so much with your kickboxing. Like, you're so beast mode on it. Like, you even got a bag at home. Like, when quarantine started, you're like, oh no, I'm not stopping this. and you made that happen. And I just love that. And I just think about that. I was like, not only do like when we go for our goals, do we like build some confidence for ourselves, but like we inspire other people just by, going for things. And so I was like, all right, I have to use my stickers. Yep. And I'm going to write down as many goals as I could think of, and then just focus on them. And like when you write them down, and you focus like on something like a planner, where it's like if you do choose to open that book every day, which is part of the goal, one goal is like using a planner the whole way through, you're more likely to like do those things that you wrote down. Like like having something to help constantly focus you. Like that's why people like hire trainers and coaches and stuff, is like you have someone who's like keeping you accountable. And I think trying to keep myself accountable is a big goal this year.
Accountability buddy, that term.
I love it.
I learned it
I
learned it like a year ago. I feel like it's one of the most crucial things when you set goals, is to set up goals where you can also have something to keep you accountable, whether it's a buddy, like a person, like you and I keep each other accountable. You say that I inspired you when I was doing kickboxing, but I started kickboxing because you inspired me on your weight loss journey. So I was like, I want to try to do that too. Like, that sounds like a great thing to do. So it's funny how we like had this, back and forth in the inspiration realm or whatever, but being accountable and staying accountable is like that's the way you work through your goals, and that's the way you get to that end point, is finding that thing that will keep you accountable, or that person. I'm so stuffed up, sorry. I'm like, hold on, let me just breathe out of my mouth for a second. but I'm glad that you mentioned that, because like the journal, it's funny, planners for me, I stress out if I don't have one. So when it was like getting to the end of the year, I'm like, all right, I need a planner. I need planner stickers. Like, this is a whole thing. Planner switchover season is like, it should be a holiday for me every year, because I could spend a whole day designing one of these blank planners. And I did. I'm going to be honest. I did. I spent almost a whole day writing all my stuff. But you're right. Putting pen to paper and actually writing out the goals, I think it's a crucial part of it, because it's hard. It's hard to like make that promise and make it real. And then once it's there in black and white and you have to look at it every time, and then if you don't make it, you have to white it out and like start over or cross out and say you didn't. It's like that little bit of accountability, just that tiny little bit that'll help you move forward. And when you're talking about using the stickers, it reminded me kind of how we'll put stuff off because we're like afraid, like there's this like fear there. So it's like if you use the sticker, it's like so permanent. So then there's the fear that the sticker's gone. So it's almost like when we wanted to start our podcast and, move forward with some of the other things that we're planning, there was this like fear of like, well, what if we do it and it fails? And then it's like gone. Then what we worked for is like gone. But in reality, that's not how it works. Like, even if you fail, it's only because you have to like switch it up a little bit and then try it from a different way. And same with like weight loss and stuff. Like you said, there's sometimes where you could be on this journey and have been so successful all this time, but 3 or 4 months of it were maybe a plateau, or where it wasn't working. And then there's that fear of like, what if it doesn't work? Like, what if all of this work is for nothing? And having no hope and just saying, you know what, screw it. Because worst case scenario, I gain something out of it and I fail. At least you gain something. And that's what we're all about, right? Gain and glow.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, like this last year was hard, and like I gained weight and I lost weight and I gained it and I lost it, and like and I was terrified that I was just going to go 100% backwards, because that has been my habit. But like one thing that I find really inspirational is like when you choose to like decide that you're not going to tell that story to yourself anymore of that's who I am. Like, every time I lose weight, I gain weight. It's like, I don't tell myself that anymore. I go, nope. Just put the Oreos back in the pantry, back away slowly, walk upstairs, drink some water. And it's not a big deal. It's not drama. You don't have to eat all of them. You don't have to not have them. You don't have to like stress about stuff like this. Like, it's like a waste of energy, like to repeat. And so I think that's a focus of mine too. Like let me try not to repeat stories that don't serve me in my head, things that like I don't want. So why do I keep saying them over and over? And it's so easy to get like caught in like a negative thought loop and like feel like it's finality, because you're like, well, at least that means that's true. and it's done and it's over. And you're like, no, like our lives are over. Like some days are going to be better than others. Like some days the Oreos win. Okay. And like,
yep.
And other days I'm just like, okay, no, like I just don't have to, don't have to keep such like final thoughts either way. And I think that's been a habit this year of constantly redirecting myself to a positive thought or away from something negative. Like, I know we talked about this before, but like getting off social media where everyone's opinion is there, and without you even realizing it, it's triggering an emotional response. And for me, someone who's been a self-proclaimed emotional eater, it's not like, it's like when my emotions go up, like I just feel like this need to like comfort myself, and I look at food as comfort. And so it's hard because you're like, well, it's a distraction, really. It's a distraction that you get to enjoy for a few seconds, and then you still have your feelings, and you're like, what do I do?
Yep.
And even the beginning of this year, I was like, all right, here's the year. Headspace released a movie on Netflix. I've already renewed my app. I got the family version for the household so that all my roommates could have it. It even has they even have like Sesame Street for like little kids. Yeah, it's so
Oh, no way.
Oh, it's so cute. And like, I just love it. They've developed it so much. It's crazy. But I was like, I'm going to meditate every day. How many days have I meditated so far, you ask? One.
Do tell.
Just one. And part of like, I keep looking at it like a chore. Like it's a thing on my to-do list when it's really something that helps me breathe in times of stress. Helps me have a few minutes to myself where I'm not looking at other things or worrying about other things. And that's what's like so important, is just like helping like change the way that you look at things on a day-to-day basis, because there's just an overwhelm of stress and sadness out there. And
I think,
yeah.
I think if we got anything out of 2020, it's people are starting to finally give a lot of credit to self-care and mental health. And I think that that's one of the best things that we could have gotten out of that year, that last year, is a better understanding on how important that is to overall wellness. Like, overall well-being includes self-care and mental health days and being mindful of work-life balances and all of these things that will trigger our successes or failures in these other realms of whether it's gaining weight or losing weight or gaining muscle or, overcoming a medical condition, whatever you're doing this for, those things all directly tied to it. And I am all for the movement that we've had this last year from every corner of like the web and social culture, is like everyone's like, okay, all right, we admit it. Self-care is important. Mental health days are fair. We're all gonna just be on the same page finally. And that's like the one thing I'm like, yes. It's not normal to work yourself to death and hate everything and be so stressed out that you binge all night long just to cope. Like, that's not normal. It's not normal. Take time off. Care for yourself. Be gentle with your structure. We don't have to, if you like to set yourself to a rigid pattern, do it. But if you don't thrive in rigid schedules and these keto contracts with ourselves of limit this and bind to this and close those rings every day and meditate every day, like, whoa, like, we don't need to be that hardcore. We need to be more gentle with this stuff. Gentle structure with the tools we already have. Understanding how to apply it in real time with what you already have available, and doing it for you, just to move forward, just to grow, just to be overall happier. Because as we all know, you could either work yourself to the bone and be stressed out and be miserable and then have a global pandemic hit that skews all of your plans, or you could be gentle with yourself and meet your goals in a realistic realm using tools you already have, and also have a global pandemic end everything and skew your goals. Like, you can do both and have something completely unrelated pop up and derail it, and it's just a choice that we get to make, and more people are more mindful of that, and I love that that came out of 2020. I'm gonna throw out the silver lining.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's so spot on. It's about taking care of ourselves as a priority, which I think is huge. I mean, yeah, everyone's life got affected this year. And it's like, what's most important? Like, how are we gonna set ourselves up for like more successes than being caught up in our failures and our stresses? And I think I'm just going to end it with, I found out that stickorophobia is the fear of stickers on your sticking to your skin. So it's not quite using stickers, but I'm going to be using my stickers this year.
Do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you find your podcast to stay up to date with our new episodes every Wednesday.
Also, head on over and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and say hello while you're there. And don't forget to drink some water, take a deep breath. You've got this.